Hello and welcome to Habano News. One of my channel subscribers sent me a question, and the question was very simple. How do you travel with cigars? And that's a very good question, obviously. And today I've decided to reply to this question. So if you're a cigar aficionado, whether you bought, whether you took some cigars from your place to another place, more or less, we've all traveled with cigars, and for those who are starting their journey, you will have to travel with cigars. So my first question is, where do you go? Are there customs issues involved? Because if you're traveling to a different country, then you have to check how many cigars you're allowed to bring with you. Otherwise, you might have very bad news upon arrival. So some countries allow 50 cigars. I've recently been to a country that allowed 15 cigars. Some countries like Switzerland, you can bring as many as you want, as long as you declare if the value is over 300 Swiss francs, which is about $320, which is usually the case with even a box of 10 now. And VAT is around 8%. There are some fees above 250 cigars of, I think, 25 cents a cigar. So it's quite low in Switzerland. I think Belgium is also a country that allows the importation of more than 50 cigars, but you have to check before you go. Now it's very easy to find information on the internet. So I'm going to light up a cigar. So I'm going to smoke these, which are the only La Casa del Habano edition from Ramon Iones, and it is a box from April 12. So this is a 12-year-old cigar. It is beautiful, and I bought this from House of Grauer for 270 francs, about 27 francs a piece, about $30. That was a few years ago, obviously. So the box code is OGA April 2012, sorry. So I'm going to light this. So, I mean, many of you ask me how I light up my cigars. Well, I'm from this generation. I learned from a guy who was my mentor, and he used to use a BIC, B-I-C, this French brand lighter. So I usually take whatever I can find. This is a V-cut, from something called Firebird. Probably got it from a shop. It's going to work fine with me, and I usually do 2 cuts in a cross. That's it. And I'm going to light this with another ashtray that I got as a present. You know, of course, if you want to, you can always use very, very fancy lighters from Esté Dupont, which is a beautiful brand. I have a few, but I put them in my office, and I don't always carry them with me because I don't like to scratch them. So here it is. This is a Ramon Iones Superioris. I'm going to put the details of the cigar on the screen. I must admit that at the beginning I didn't like these cigars the first few years. Now it's getting better. So aging cigars, if you don't like the cigars when you just bought them, forget about them. Give them some time. I had a friend of mine, Walid, say exactly the same thing in one of the videos with AJ Patel. Same thing. He had an experience with, I think, some Trinidad cigars. He didn't like the box. He didn't like the first cigars he smoked. Forget about them. And then smoke again a few years later. That's a good thing about cigars. Sometimes it's just not ready. And this is now much better. So, I would say that different ways to carry cigars. First, are we talking about a box? Let's say I want to travel with this box. This is a box of Emisayo, the Swiss original edition. Here it is. So how would you travel with a box? First, make sure the box is full, because rule number one, cigars must not move. Individual cigars must not be loose when they travel. Otherwise, you get all the wrappers destroyed. And then, of course, you have to go to Cuba and get them repaired if you can't do it yourself. So, rule number one, you have to fight. Your biggest enemy is the cigars that move. Second enemy is the lack of humidity when you travel. Plane, cars, everywhere you will get air conditioning. Will suck the water, the humidification of your cigars. And if you've experienced that for getting a cigar, I've done it many times in my pocket. By the time you board the plane, when you on a long trip, when you get out, the cigar is as hard as a piece of wood. And then it's really hard to get it back, because on top of that, it's moved in your pocket. So make sure there are two ways. If you can, ideally, this is a kind of Ziploc bag, different sizes. So this one was given to me when I bought the Monte Cristo Especial at Davidoff. You put this inside and you lock it airtight. If it's a long trip, then you can put a 65, 69 just to help it. Buvida or Integra Boost, whatever works for you, it's great. If it's a short trip, even if you don't put a humidor, this is much better than nothing. Then if you are traveling with a box that doesn't fit in this kind of bag, then you use cling film. Okay, they are big ones, so and you just go around and put it around your box. Let me see. Okay. So you do that. This is a box from 2015. Okay. And I'm moving the box even though the cigars are loose inside. So first thing, before you do that, make sure that I'm destroying the cigars at the moment. So make sure that inside your box, the cigars cannot move. Okay? So what you do, you can put some plastic bags. Those bags are very useful if you have empty ones. Make sure, do not put paper, ideally, because the paper will absorb the water. But if you have nothing else, then use paper. Make sure the cigars don't move inside the box. And then, what you do, you put this around, and you go around and around like this, really tight, and so on, and you do it. Okay, so whenever you travel and you think you're going to buy cigars, make sure you have at least cling films in your suitcase, not in your hand luggage, because some airlines, they don't really like this kind of tape and stuff, but put them in your suitcase. So this is to carry boxes that cannot fit in this kind of bags. Then what about the loose cigars? The loose cigars, different ways. This, if you have a few, but this is not great. Why? Because they dry in there. This is really something you carry. You take to carry 2 or 3 sticks with you to go out on one evening. Make sure you put this back in your humidor. You remove the cigars and put them in your humidor when you get back home, where your humidor is. Why? Because this is leather, it will take the humidity, and after a day, the cigars will be really damaged. So to carry sticks, you can use this. These are plastic boxes. They're they're very good value for money. This is a cigar. I am not sponsored. I don't get any money from this YouTube channel. So I'm just showing you what was offered to me by Reza of La Casa del Habano, part of the Cigar club. So this is a small case, humidification system. Usually I don't use it here. I put one of these inside. Put your cigars, make sure they don't move inside. Don't forget rule number 1, cigars must not move. And so you can use these bigger boxes. And then you put your cigars, 1, 2, 3 different rows, okay? And I have a lot of Ziplocs inside just in case that I put here. So this is good. This you can put in your suitcase. You can also carry with you. And of course, if you don't have these, you can also use these. What are these? There's a humidification system inside. So when you receive this from your shop, you put it straight into your humidor. You can move the cigars, of course, or you can just leave them inside, but just make sure it's open so that the air can be changed. And make sure the cigars don't move inside, okay? So, look, this is a good way to travel with your sticks. Once again, for example, if I was to travel with this, I would make sure I put another cigar here. Why? Because otherwise they will move. This cannot happen, all right? So, same thing here, there's a cigar missing. So make sure it's tight inside. If it's not, put a plastic bag that you roll, put something inside that is not going to damage the cigar. Same thing here, this is tight. Here I have to put more things. And here it's tight enough. It's a limited edition. Sticks, it can travel. So this is very important to remember. The tools exist, they're really good value for money. Whether it's this, a Ziploc if you want to put a bag. You can also use this. If you don't have this, just make sure you have a Boveda inside or humidification system, because obviously this has none. But make sure the cigars cannot move inside. This is also very good. I only have this one. It was offered to me by AJ Patel. And this is a very good product. You can get it on Amazon in the US, because you have each cigar is protected. This is very useful. Very, very useful, because then they don't touch each other. They cannot be damaged. So AJ, for example, puts his sticks in there. With a pen, he writes down what it is, which year, because obviously otherwise you cannot remember. And then he puts this in his bag here, removes these things here, the foam. Make sure, or you can use one just to make sure it's tight inside. The cigars don't move, they don't get damaged. So this is what I wanted to say. It's not that difficult. It's not expensive, especially compared to the price of cigars. It's not a perfect science, but it's easy to travel with cigars. Easier than traveling with wine, obviously, because you can take your cigars on board, you cannot take your wine on board. So I hope it's a clear video. Please, 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 kindly subscribe to the channel. 8 people out of 10 who watch my videos don't subscribe. So it's very, very important, very useful for me. It is the only salary I get from the work done here. And it's really a good boost, not only for the number of subscribers, but also for me. Thank you very much. If you have any question, obviously, don't hesitate. Thank you and goodbye.